one off in the gravel.
Is that the reigning champ?
That is a wall racing Porsche.
It is not the reigning champ, though.
James Moffat. So James Taylor, the race director, long-serving race director for Carrera Cup. Stephen Johnson, straight out of the Mustang into race control in his role as the driver standards advisor.
Oh.
And this is Moffat, too hot into turn one, locked the rear brakes, lost control of the car. Did he keep that out of the tyres?
I think he did. I don't think he's touched the wall there. In the background, he's lost it really early.
Shot of the weekend for me so far this. Just nerfed the tyre bundles there, but shouldn't have caused too much damage.
Tension-grabbing stuff. The rear's locked, sends him hard right. He does an immaculate job to save that. At least from hitting the right-hand wall.
Yes. I think once that car was sideways.
Second set of tyres. This is what happened to Greg Taylor.
Oh, just a little bit wide through the kink. It's a pretty heavy commitment part of the racetrack there, so it was just a little bit wide, two wheels off. Fortunately, of all the places to go off here in Adelaide,
that great passing opportunity down at turn 9, and a few will go for it. That's a tough one to stop from that far back. And Nick McBride, fourth in last year's championship, gets speared around by a driver from another class, and it's caught Cameron Hill out in his first Carrera Cup race. He'll find reverse and try and get out of there.
Yeah, too far back from Anthony Gilbertson.
You can ill afford DNFs if you want to be the champion. Oh, there's more going on. Greg Taylor involved this time. Also, I wonder if Shaheen was a part of this, I think, as well.
Saw the Ben Motorsport Park entry just going slowly on the run down into Victoria Park. So hopefully Greg Taylor, a former...
So watch further up the screen, the dark blue Porsche. Sinking feeling as it hones in on the right rear of Nick McBride's Porsche Centre Melbourne car. Cameron Hill nowhere to go as well. Did a really good job keeping his nose clean.
Well, that's why Cameron Hill bundled down the order. I mentioned that just before. It wasn't his start. He got a very good start. Unfortunately, got caught up in an incident that wasn't of his doing. So the Hallmark Homes driver, he was covering from Roger Largo, who was having a run. So I wonder if that just unsettled him a little bit, missed his braking marker and went too deep. He'll definitely get penalised for that, though. Anthony Gilbertson, race control, won't look too kindly on that. Stephen Johnson, the driver standards advisor, and James Taylor, the race director. Just got word through, actually, speaking of Cam's race control, that they're going to run turn 9 under yellow flags now because of that car of Nick McBride. So that's a key overtaking opportunity, as we're seeing here, with Sam hit up the inside of Greg Taylor. So that explains that incident.
And we're off, and again it's the inside line. That is the spot to start this weekend. Oh, big save, Darwin. What a catch, and there's one around in the background. That'll be Peter Major. That is one of the all-time saves from Darwin.
And he might just be able to drive out of the gravel trap here, the West Australian. They've all been talking about front tyre temperature in these cars. As Stephen Grove goes down the inside of Roger Largo. There's more contact, and he gets pushed across to driver's left and will drop a bunch of spots.
There at turn 1, which saw Major slot off, and Stephenson did a really good job to avoid it. Now for Wood, it was all on his own. And the awareness, was it Dylan O'Keefe who managed to give him enough room to get back on the track? That was amazing.
So watch when he hits that second bit of the curb. So all four wheels off the deck there, and then he whacks that curb and it fires him across the road. Dylan O'Keefe with the anticipation to get some lock on and move the car across the road. So he doesn't end up with some green paint on his white door of the APB Group Porsche.
That is remarkable from O'Keefe.
That is catch.
That is clairvoyant driving.
Lots of laps going on at the front while this battle pack sorts themselves out. The bottom half of the top 10, and there's contact there, and Johnny Steff's gone around.
That's probably the biggest difference from track and field to motorsport. No chance of saving that one, and it left him in such an awkward spot.
With half the field barreling down him in a blind corner when you pass that wall. Yeah, light contact there from Josh Hunt. I think race control will look too kindly on that. He was covering his line. He sort of moved across, halfway across before he turned in, but Hunt certainly wasn't down the inside.
These things will be around the mountain as we go back and check out Leanne Tander. She's gone for a spin, but the good news, she's managed to keep the Porsche Doncaster Porsche Brighton Motorsport entry off the fence. Leanne Tander pulled up. Now this car's had a little bit going on left side and front side. The left rear has been into the McDonald's signage at turn 8, and Leanne has pulled this car up. I think she's also got the inside wall with the front end, and this could be enough to bring out a Vodafone safety car here, unfortunately.
making her debut in Porsche Carrera Cup. Will just give up when they get to turn 1 and go straight across the curb.
Leanne got the inside curb, slipped out, swiped the signage on the outside and came in and had a fair old whack on the inside wall. Everyone doing a really good job to avoid spinning Leanne.
Almost caught it. Almost caught that slide, but ultimately ended up bouncing off the inside wall very hard. Just a little bit too tight in the apex there and grabbed that curb, as you said.
And I wonder if it's because she would have had a really good look at that piece of racetrack and thought, I cannot run wide there. There's so much oil and debris that had been left there from the improved production race. As we check out John Stephenson's view of this one. Oh, wow, right in front of Stephenson, and he was on the brakes hard. Wow, he backed off quite a lot and actually stacked the field up behind him.
It's the universal sign for racing disappointment, walking away from the TV monitor. So this is down at the Adelaide hairpin. Dean Cook having a look down the inside, and that's why we saw Mark Seeney off the road. Fairly aggressive move. And this is the stuff that's going to be looked at by race control, because there's a good chance some of it happened after the safety car was called. There's no yellows flying at that flag point there at the hairpin.
So that one was still at least under green flag conditions.
Yep. The two Bob James T-Marts cars get the elbows out and they bump and run through there. But it's Jordan Love, the young West Aussie, goes through. There's dramas behind. That was Dylan O'Keefe. He's been turned around on the exit of turn 2. John Stephenson, Commonwealth gold-winning athlete, represented Australia at the Olympic Games and won medals there. It's been a tough start to his Carrera Cup Australia campaign.
Ironically, where he's crashed there's next to the athletics track, so that's a bit of irony in that situation.
And busy in front. So Pete Major right of screen, Max Twiggs in the middle. He was out of the throttle nice and early.
The look ahead, Michael Armand on the left, just comes on, has a little bit of oversteer, ends up a lot wider through the track, but then, by then already Dylan O'Keefe had been spun around on the exit of turn 2. And you're right, it was contact with James Moffat. Be nice to see another angle of that and see what happened a bit earlier on through turn 2. Unfortunately, Dylan O'Keefe's come out of that second best. As we see here, see Max Twigg and John Stephenson just tried to get out of the way. He actually didn't have contact with Twiggy, but he's had to swerve hard right through the middle of the corner to try and miss him, and it's just come around the other way and he's ended up in the fence. What a shame.
And I think Pete Major just caught up as the field checked up 6. As we go back and look a little bit further at the young Tasmanian, Adam Garwood, a little bit of a bump there with Sam Shahin. So Adam came from a little bit far back, but it seemed like the move was on.
See, back at turn 1 and 2, there's been an incident.
Anthony Gilbertson with more damage. He sat out yesterday's race after damage in race 1. He, unfortunately, and to no fault of his own, collected a car that had stalled on the grid. Young Cameron Hill did quite a bit of damage. That's him trying to go down the inside of Graham Williams at turn 1. And in this case, it's the tyre bundle that's done all the damage. Check the air that it got up the inside there.
A lot of debris down there on the apex of turn 1. That's going to be the leaders first time by back down there that are going to be the first on the scene. Going to make sure you don't get too much of that debris because it can damage a tyre. So teams will be letting their drivers know that there's debris on the racetrack.
They have an amazing game at Etihad Stadium later on in the year as a staple now of the AFL season. McBride with the rear brakes locked, and now down the inside, the teammates. That's James Moffat. Went up the inside of David Wall. They've both ended up pointing the wrong way.
Moff went for a look there yesterday. He had strength out of the second last corner.
Now let's analyse this. Moffat on David Wall. These are teammates.
So Moff there on the right of screen, looking up the inside of David Wall. Hard to see from that angle. He looked like he was up around about what we would say the B pillar, but it's a tricky corner to get the job done.
And this a little bit further back, some smoke and fluid by the looks of it pouring out of a car, and that has caught out Roger Largo, who was leading the Tag Heuer Pro-Am battle coming into this race by 0.01 of a second, with Jordan Love not far behind. And David Wall's bad day gets worse. The spin on the final lap. The last couple of kilometres in that were reasonably feisty, Jack.
Here's a replay here. Just gone, lost that on his own, just ran wide. Tricky little corner, especially with the wet conditions off the track. Here's Wall, looking for a move up the inside.
Adam Garwood was on the outside there in the JCB car. 2 for Alex Davison, the most experienced driver in the field, gets a blinder in car 888 and goes to the outside. There's dramas though, there's big contact. All the leaders around. There was the 77 car of Michael Armand who went down the inside. Alex Davison's deposited in the gravel trap. Dale Wood deposited pointing the wrong direction.
So keep an eye on the left of screen as we head into turn 1, number 77. just on the right of screen now. So he's got right front locked. He was checked up a little bit by Jackson Evans and he's just got in there way too hot. And you got to feel for Dale Wood and Alex Davison. They did nothing wrong there. Unfortunately, Michael Armand just tagged the back of Dale and then got into the side of Alex Davison.
Right, Jackson Evans was so very lucky. Who sailed through the field to 6th yesterday and has saved a good set of tyres. So watch the car directly in front, bright yellow Porsche.
So Michael Armand didn't predict Jackson Evans to get on the brakes where he did. It just caught him off guard. It meant he had to veer out of the road to avoid hitting Jackson Evans, which then delayed him getting to the brakes. Then he had a brake locked up, and as you see, big contact to the back of Dale Wood, and Alex Davison also very innocent there. Such a shame for Dale Wood. He made the perfect start. He was looking for a clean sweep.
In front of Dylan O'Keefe. This is a move down the inside. Sam Sheehan on the Aris Property Group car of Greg Taylor. Sam a little bit too deep, just couldn't quite get the car stopped. And unfortunately on the exit, couldn't get it turned around.
And now he's just got to try and nurse that home without doing too much more damage to the left front tyre.
That's Max Twig down the inside of Greg Taylor, who is wide and is in the wall. And that's quite a big impact on the exit of turn 11 just before 12. So just dropped 2 wheels off on the grass on the outside and it fired the car off. It's a shame for the Sydney sider. And this is how it happened, Jack Perkins.
So David Waugh in behind Josh Hunt here. See, it's kind of a weird way to spin through there. You're back on the power. You're reasonably committed out of there. Don't know if there's any water on the road. We know we've had a lot of rain yesterday. The AstroTurf behind the curbing still holds a lot of water. And it's a shame for Josh Hunt. He's running really well. He's gone around probably flat spotted, if not 3 of those Michelin tyres for sure.
Decent catch though. Nice 360 select first gear drive on here on the streets of the Gold Coast. And won the Adelaide round as well. Sam Shahin down the inside. The Bend Motorsport Park liveried car. 2 deep. And bounces across the gravel trap as a result. It didn't look like that car was going to stop down there.
One thing I noticed there was no lock brakes. The Pro-Am drivers have the option to run ABS braking in this year's cars. So you see there Sam Shahin, he braked quite late to try and get the passing manoeuvre done. He didn't lock any wheels.
Something's happened down at the last corner on the way out of the pits. So Enduran Pediacci gathering it back up. And all good, just gassed the Michelins a little bit too hard.
Hi, Chad. What a way to start a 30-minute practice
Welcome,
session.
Richard.
Yes, nice to be here. I think Enduran Pediacci will be saying the same thing.
This gentleman had a bit of a breakout year last season and is going on with it as Cook has fenced it hard in the 22 on the podium.
Wheel off?
At the Grand Prix, and yes, it has.
Wow.
Or at least a tyre.
So tyre off the rim on the right-hand side of the car, and that's the run past the hay shed, so it's on driver's right as you're turning the car into Lukey Heights.
I think it's plucked, maybe it's just plucked the tyre out of the tyre wall, hopefully. But I don't know. Red flag will fly with the very colourful John Stephenson, and he's just so interesting to talk to. Very, very fun to interview, as I found out in Adelaide. So red flag conditions here, and this was a pretty big shunt for Dean Cook.
So you're a tyre width offline there. You can use that curb on the outside. So he was probably a foot wider than he usually is. So this on board Graham Williams, and the Hardcourt Williams number 131 car, and that's the view. So you can see the tyre marks. He wasn't that far off the road, but it's just enough to tip the car into that spin and fire it across the road. And from there, Cook was an absolute passenger. And listen to this again. That's an enormous impact.
27.3. What's interesting about that, when Matt Campbell set that lap record, it was a 27.3 to the first sector, so it's quick. Whoa, and there goes Moff. Loses the rear end down to MG. Will that affect Dale Wood? He was up to the second sector.
He must have hesitated, surely, and waiting until a bit later in the race when they attack. And lap time 1:32.9 for the leader in clear air out in front. And that's Cameron Hill spinning.
Oh, and it saw the splitter off it in the process. Any chance of a comeback?
Replay, run to the hay shed.
Oops.
That's Tim Miles with his moment. Nicely evaded by Adam Garwood in behind.
Padiachi's the lapper. They send him back.
And it's really hurt Jackson Evans. Cost him massively, but somehow he's come out unscathed. Off the road,
Moffat. This is going to end really badly for Moffat. If he comes back onto this racetrack, it could be a crunch.
Oh, wow.
For heart stopper.
That's heart-wrenching stuff. That was very nearly a crash. Look at this.
Wow. You're sitting at home thinking this looks familiar. And it's happened a few times in this part of the world. We've seen Davison and Whincup. We've seen Prema and Courtney.
James will be watching that in pit lane, cringing with his eyes shut. James Courtney, that is.
Particularly understeer that it has once you do damage that. Well, a couple in a round in the background. Big moment, including Roger Largo. There's been contact between him and Tim Miles.
Now, that's a key moment because they're both contenders in the Tag Heuer Pro-Am class.
So he'll be struggling for downforce. There's the damage. He has got the car moving, so it might save us that safety car. The Garage 1 entry. Let's see if we can figure out what happened down here.
So he's going down the inside of Sam Shahin, and he's had a big moment under braking, and it's launched that car. So they've interlocked front wheels. You can see Tim's head bouncing around in the cockpit as the car launched into the air, and it's actually taken the tyre off the rim on Sam Shahin's car as well on the right front as he was trying to turn in. That's coolant. The radiator's located just in behind those big vents on either side of the front bar on that car. So it's caused a lot of damage. He has driven it out of the way. He'll need to shut it down straight away, though, because with all the coolant pouring out, that engine will overheat very quickly. And as a result, we are under safety car for the first time this weekend. End of the day.
Best he can hope for. This is why the Vodafone safety car is out. Whack. Decent-sized moment down there at turn 4 for Tim Miles, one of the front runners.
Jackson Evans had a good run on Dylan O'Keefe down there into 4.
No, that was Cam Hill spearing off at 4. He went backwards through the pack. Did he collect anyone? Yes, but it doesn't look too bad, thankfully. The left rear is punched in.
There was another car going slowly there. So let's
watch for the 111. It's behind the green 80.
So there's Max Twigg just pulling out, looking to make a move. He's got Gilbertson in front. Oh, Cameron Hill from behind. So was he helped?
I think what's happened there, Krause, is he's seen Twigg's car stopping rapidly in front of him, and he's just dived on it and sent it to the inside to avoid running at the back of Max Twigg. And as a result, he goes spearing straight through the pack. Lucky that Anthony Gilbertson was the only driver to go.
So Gilbertson was leading the Tag Heuer Pro-Am class. Stephen Grove third in it at the moment. Oh, wow, that was quick, wasn't it?
Brett Cameron from inside Stephen Grove's car. Once more. There was no contact on the entry, the rear getting away from him.
Just grab the rear brakes. We've seen that a few times this weekend, Chad, in these cars, that whether it's a bias issue, this at real speed, over 200 k's an hour before you stop here.
So Twig kind of darted to the inside as well right at the last minute. Maybe that was a piece of real estate that Cam Hill was thinking about using.
For Max, this might shed some light on it. So McBride in front through that high-speed flying corner. He did it all on his own. Just got out into the marbles on the turn into Licky Heights. Very fortunate to not end up further off the road there and possibly stuck.
Wild moment, that one. For Max Twig. Each of them more watchable than the last. And for Gilbertson, unfortunately, it's just not been his day.
Challenge, just like the Super 2 series to the main game. Wow, that's a strange place to do that. Timken hosting a group of them here. Adam Garwood, big off into the fence, round the back of the circuit. The brand new team this weekend linked up with McElroy Racing for the first time. His first qualifying session with that team has not gone well for the young Tasmanian. Oh, and the first fire of the weekend on cue.
We've got our first grass fire of no doubt what will be many of the weekend. If you're playing grass fire bingo at home, let's see exactly what's happened. Off the racing line on approach potentially, and that's gone in left side in. That's the driver's side in the Carrera Cup car. We've seen a lot of big slides through there already this weekend, Krause.
Just picked it up at the end. The car was already backwards and sliding out of control. It's not an enormous runoff area there, is it? That fence on the outside, on first glimpse, looks like it's far enough away, but catches out so many. That's quite a hefty impact. We'll see it at full speed and deceptively quick. So here it is. Nice job to catch the end of that by the guys out there on the circuit. So red flag out. Adam Garwood shifting across to McElroy Racing, Queensland-based team.
Which is quite similar to supercars, and that'll probably end said simulation. Peter Major, the West Aussie in the totally 4x4 entry, has joined the party where Adam Garwood went off. Murphy's Law would have it that something could happen in the exact same spot.
If a car can hit it, it will generally find a way to do it again. So that's a different style of incident. Didn't spin the whole way around. Gently nudged the tyres, and Pete was trying to drive the car out, which you'd be struggling to do in that gravel trap, but kept it running, so it wasn't a massive impact at all. It was just a real gentle slide. Sideways in the gravel. Lucky he wasn't going much quicker. It might have dug in and tipped up, and then just a little bit of a bump into the rebuilt tyre wall, which, full credit to the volunteer officials here, you could not tell was torn out of its mounts, and this is great. So we stay green, and the West Aussie takes the totally 4x4 Sonic car out of the way.
Carrera Cup tyres need a lap or two to come to speed. Another one at turn 10. It's a tricky part of the circuit today.
In the fence, same spot we've seen twice already. Unlike Pete Major, he doesn't drive out this time.
It's going to be very difficult with the right rear tyre in the air. There is daylight between the bottom of that tyre and the gravel.
Chad, he was half a car length offline there.
And he was behind his brother.
Yeah. So he was, and the red flag comes out, so that's the session. He was half a car length offline, just locked the brake as he drives out.
The streak. All right, what happened to Gilbertson? He was up at this point.
It's the same as everybody else.
Yep, on the club. Oh, that was bigger than everyone else, though. Way harsher impact.
That's a decent hit.
The Christmas tree lighting up. Porsche Carrera Cup is going. The leader from yesterday's gone nowhere. He gets clipped. It could get worse before it gets better. He just gets missed by a few more, but
it's torn the rear axle out, Chad. He's going nowhere.
And it's taken out Dale Wood. Second and fourth in the championship. Huge moment. I talked to him yesterday about the new launch control system. He hasn't been overly happy with it. I wonder if that's played a role in this. That could be a pivotal moment in this championship. And there's more happening in the background as the safety car gets deployed. There's been a bit of a drama here at the exit of turn 1 as well, Kralsey.
So that's Dean Cook in car number 22. Stephenson's copped an enormous hit against the fence there. We're instantly under the Vodafone safety car, feeling on the clutch bite point. And David Wall found it and popped the clutch and went nowhere. And an enormous impact there for Dale Wood. So that's the front corner from Dale Wood's car that's been torn out. The damage underneath car number 1 will be significant.
A few things from that replay there. Dylan O'Keefe take a bow.
Save of the day.
Watch the 88. How does he get through that gap? Bang! Quite a violent impact. And incredible that it was only 2 cars involved. So that's the first moment. Then just 10 seconds later, Kralsey, there was another.
So this was the mystery to us while we were watching what was going on at the straight. So moving across on Cook was Stephenson and whack into the tyres.
Wow, how lucky for the former Olympic athlete that tyre bundle is there now, because that would have been a horrible moment. From further back in the pack, Mark Sini's viewpoint. Maybe just an awareness issue for a new driver. And once these things get hooked up together, there's no stopping him. But the best news of all is that Stepho's okay as he unplugs himself from the 808. He's a very competitive man. What a shame that was. So replays again. The pole sitter goes nowhere. Gets clipped by Dale Wood. Incredible that everyone missed the wheel, the stricken car. Now, the irony here, Kralsey, is the launch control was introduced because we had a stall. This is getting tight. And antsy. They're all waiting for Evans. They're getting a little impatient, and there's going to be more drama before we get to the green.
That was silly. That didn't need to happen. Surely Josh Hunt involved and Nick McBride, whose weekend goes from bad to worse. More big damn. Porsche Centre Melbourne are having an horrific day because that's the same team as John Stephenson. Nick McBride out, looking across at Josh Hunt.
By the way, how cool is Josh Hunt's helmet? And that's nice to see, just checking that they're both okay. Got the James Hunt special. That is a cool lid. 25 years just the other day since the 1976 Formula 1 World Champion passed away in his sleep. And that's a nice little tribute. Have a look at the coolant, Kralsey.
Yeah, it's going to be a long clean-up. So here's a look. Everyone's checked up behind Jackson Evans, who becomes the safety car. There's the green flag. Brake lights still on behind. Bump, bump, bump. And drama.
There was a classic case of a highway pileup. They just couldn't quite see far enough up ahead. It's hard to see exactly why there was such a gap to begin with. If there's no gap to begin with, Kralsey, then they can't all pile up like this.
Well, they've seen the green flag, but it's up to the driver in front to pick the go point. He becomes the safety car, so he can get as far up to the control line before he nails it to run down into turn 1. This is Anthony Gilbertson.
So it's this on and off throttle that everyone was doing that was
Oh, wow, he just
leading
picked
to
the
it.
ball.
He did a good job to get by the way that he did. The same goes for Tim Miles as well, actually.
So as long as Jackson Evans maintained a consistent speed and throttle pressure there, he's fine as far as the leader goes. Everyone else behind him just trying to get that last little half a car length, trying to anticipate when the leader was going to go. They've caused themselves a massive accident. And Mark Sini, for the second or third time in this race, has to take evasive action. So if you can't exchange data with somebody else, well, get someone else to generate some data in your car. And that's what they did with Stephen Richards. Pete Major in front. Wow, that's big contact with Josh Hunt. Quite a hefty impact. And Josh just checked up there midway through the corner, had a big slide, and Cameron had nowhere to go.
Let's just relive this moment. Firstly, from down at ground level.
Oh, so he locked a brake. So going into the corner, he was in trouble, ran wide, and as he was trying to gather it up, Cameron just had nowhere to go. All the momentum was out of the Valenti Rosso car. And this will show it. Let's have a listen. He just had no opportunity. There was nowhere else Cameron could go. The only other option was go right, but you do that, you end up in the fence. And that is the net result. A really disappointing end for what's been a promising weekend.
Glenn Wood has a spin coming under the front straight. Wayne Shen style, but that is a beauty from Melbourne's Dylan O'Keefe.
That really is Wayne Shen style. It's a carbon copy. Debris coming off that car as well.
What
Gathered it up.
Came off that thing. It spun so hard it dropped pieces.
Paul Tresser will be watching that from the lounge with
having cold sweat.
nightmares, yeah. So drop the right rear off the exit curb.
It's the outside of the mirror, I believe, from looking at that, that's actually popped out at speed. Desperate to win his first race in Carrera Cups, going to have to do it the hard way today. Moff will push him the whole way. Major with a big spin, presumably turn one, and somehow has got that pointed in the right direction.
And driven out of the sand track too.
Totally 4x4 entry.
Yeah, appropriate. So no safety car required.
Watch it now. That's major moment. What a monstrous lose that is through turn one.
It almost looked like it was about to tip over.
As close as you want to let it get, that's for sure.
Remarkable effort to drive out of it. Well done, Pete. Here it is for on board. Big slide going in, corrected it. Then another slide.
Wow.
And gathers it up. Good driving.
That is a crazy, crazy moment. Look at the gravel slipping its way down.
Side by side for the race lead. Moffat with a really good run. There's contact. It's almost an enormous accident. It's going to be one. Darwin goes around. Moffat's off. That's enormous.
Neither driver wanting to back down through the kink, and it results in one of the Sonic cars being left in the dust and the rest of the Sonic cars scrapping for the lead of the motor.
They are investigating it. This was enormous. So Moffat had such a good run out of the elbow, was in the toe, but so many times we've seen side by side through the kink not working, and I thought they'd got away with it right until that moment. That was
so close to catching it, both of them.
That was extraordinary stuff.
The secondary contact that did the damage. How about this from Jordan Love's point of view? Let's watch.
So at that moment, they were going to have a very big crash. Then we thought they got away with it, but Moff had a brake locked, and the car was loaded up to the left, and this again at speed.
He's won more races in the championship and more races in the Enduro Cup. It was a case of neither of those two drivers wanting to give in, knowing how important the lead of the race was in the early stages, and they have been the fastest two in the entire field.
Had they come out the other side, Chad, that would have been one of the great saves at this place from James Moffat.
Not a huge amount of anger or emotion shown from Dale.
So how's the slide there? And then just with the lock-up, and the car was just dragged across to the right again and made the contact with Darwood. So race control assessing both the contact and the deficiency he's got with the damage on the front end, and still punch out quick lap.
Oh no! Michael's going away at the cutting. Oh, from the lead and under heavy fire from David Wall.
No way.
It goes from bad to worse for Sonic. From the highs of the bend to absolutely nowhere right now.
I'm speechless. The lead of the race.
Oh.
Yes, he was under pressure. Oh, no,
Largo. By Largo.
A contender in Tag Heuer Pro-Am. He's got big damage, and that would have torn the radiator out of the right front corner of the JBS car. And we go safety car for the second time. Oh, the drama in this championship this year.
This is how it's happened, Krause.
The penalty for Largo, or potential penalty, maybe redundant now, just a little bit wide. So where he made that amazing move earlier in the race is where it's cost him the motor race. Wide on entry, lost the rear of the car, backed it into the fence.
Oh, and lucky that Jackson Evans didn't go with him, so Largo has pulled over. And so much drama. Safety car out there, and now it's David Wall leading the way.
Really loving the new environment. I saw his dad Ross here, actually. Ross is camping down at the Chase and really enjoying watching his boy race. So this was the extra moment. Stephen Grove was inches away from clipping it. Roger Largo inches wider, and big damage now front and rear of the 77.
Wow. Stephen Grove looked even closer from that angle.
Go and buy a lottery ticket after that one. And Tim Miles got on the brakes big time.
And because Grove was wide, it made it even harder for Largo to see.
It did, yeah.
So just picking up exactly what happened on the last lap with Sam Shahin. Through Skyline, forward up, and hands in the air. What a shame. Double yellow flags down there for that one. Thankfully, no one else involved, and he is Phil. How about Dale Wood and James Moffat? How many spots can they make up in this opening lap? But see you later, Jackson Evans. He's got a beautiful lead up Mountain Straight. Largo's hit the fence, though, in the background, Krause. That's an awkward one. The driver's door open.
Yeah, it pops open quickly. I'm not sure if that was by design or otherwise. Once again, Wall racing. Oh, no, Dale Wood.
Can't be serious. This guy's just got no luck left.
Well, they were basically side by side on the grid too. Remember, Largo started just in front.
So number 4 to the list now.
Exactly right. So let's have a look at this. Keep your eye to right of screen. Wood's going around the outside. So they're splitting Indura and Padiachi there as they run up the hill. Oh, no. Slight contact to Largo, who speared across in front. And actually, Dale Woods had quite a big impact onto that fence.
Moffat was very quick away. Here we go, let's just watch this, Krause, because this will be so sight unseen.
And they're the worst impacts you can have in those cars. A rear corner impact. Punches the drive shaft into the gearbox. Maybe damage the engine as well. So there's nothing Car 100 could do here. Zero, completely innocent. And finds himself being tagged by Roger Largo, who was just squeezed and...
The last 23 might have had something to do with it. Now, something's happened up here on top of the mountain. We're riding on board here.
Not Dale Wood again, surely.
Oh, up the head of him in McPhillamy.
Wow.
Oh, that's scary. That's really scary. Oh.
That's huge.
He got the concrete, and that is another DNF here. And again, nothing to do with him. That car has gone into the wall twice this weekend now.
That is an enormous accident. The velocity that he hit the concrete there was significant.
Moving out there today, and now David Wall's had enough. And he locks the right front, and they don't pull it up, and it ends up with Glenwood in the fence, Wally facing backwards, and also in the fence. He's third in the points, and this might just cost him. Needs to get it moving. Awkward spot for that car to be sitting. We've got one buried completely in the tyre wall, and what was going to be his best race, Glenwood, has turned into disaster. David Wall gets that car moving, ran out of patience, and had a crack, and this is the result.
He broke at the end, didn't he? Lap after lap, he was tucked in behind. He finally committed. Sonic Motor Racing have rebuilt a brand new car in the space of 8 days between rounds. Here he is.
Oh, wow. Oh, he's got away with it too. He's just scraped it along the tyre wall, sprayed the fans with a bit of water. And it was nearly 4 in a row.
This will show it. Whoa, how quickly did that thing fire back in the opposite direction? This will show it really well. So there's the first curb. Get the car across to the right. Watch for the flick across, there it goes. So the wheels already had lock on, opposite lock, so when the car landed it, just grabbed it and fired it across. all 4 Michelin tyres as locked as they're ever going to be, and just missed the concrete and got to the tyres, and that's probably saved that car. Oh. If it had gone in 10 metres sooner, there would have been big damage to the front and back of that car.
You don't get away with many at the Gold Coast.
As you say, I wonder if that's his luck changing. That might be the moment that just swings things back in the other direction after a horrific weekend at Mount Panorama.
Reigning champ Dave Wall and Sam Shahin has met the wall at the Virgin Australia high-speed chicane in a big way.
It may be a redundant question because that will be the session. Red flag out, 4 and a bit minutes to go.
And that has gone wall to wall. Red flag flies. Sam's okay, albeit peeved. That car's had a hard run lately. It was in the fence at Bathurst. Look how long this has gone for. Look how far down the road he is.
That's a crash that's lasted a long time, and this will explain why. So there's the curb, and just really shallow on the exit and drills the fence. Man, and tore the wheel out in that initial impact, and then hit the wheel that was bouncing in front of the car and did a lot of the damage.
Wow, boy. Here it is again. This is in real time. That'll be a massive... Oh, no,
it's Love.
And has that been in the fence? Awkward spot for that car to sit, facing the oncoming traffic. Damage to the right rear.
It looks pretty crinkled on the right rear, Chad. Let's have a look. It has been. Just glances the tyres.
Wow, that could have been so much worse. And in front of the champion.
And take some pressure out of his tyres and have a bit of a reset for a sprint to the finish.
Wow, that could have been worse.
And yellow.
Yes. Yellow, yellow, yellow.
What did we say about 15 minutes ago about the fact these races just continue to deliver at the end? Every single one of them this year has given us something, and this is no exception. The young West Aussie open wheel graduate, champion of the Porsche Michelin GT3 Cup Challenge, junior driver, was running in the top 4, finds the fence, the streets of Surfers Paradise, brings the safety car out, and we reset this race for a thrilling conclusion.
Wow.
And there is a lot to go on.
Could cost him 4th in the championship as well. Picked up that race win on the Sunday morning at Bathurst.